They told us Atlantis was just a myth, a legend, a fantasy spun by philosophers and dreamers long dead. They said it sank beneath the ocean, never to be found. They told us it was Greek, that it was white, that it was lost forever. But Africa remembers. Buried beneath the silence of desert winds and the shifting sands of the Sahara lies a memory that will not die. The eye of Africa, the Richat structure in Mauritania, has stared up at the sky for thousands of years. A scar, a fingerprint, a monument. Not a coincidence, not erosion, but a message. And that message is clear. Atlantis lived, and Atlantis was African. Welcome to this journey. A return to a time when the world was young, when gods walked beside men, and when the greatest civilization Earth had ever known rose in the green heart of West Africa. This is the story of the African empire of Atlantis. Long before Europe raised its first stones, before the Nile carved kingdoms in the east, there was a city, a radiant, circular city built with genius, adorned with gold, governed by law, and surrounded by beauty. Its streets were laid in symmetry, its canals shimmered under the sun, and its people lived in balance with the earth and the heavens. That city, that capital of marvels, stood exactly where the Richat structure now lies, its form fossilized into the land, whispering the truth to those with ears to hear. We know of Atlantis because of Kemet, not because of Greece, not because of Hollywood, but because African priests, wise keepers of the world's first records, passed the memory down. Solon, the Greek lawgiver, traveled to Egypt around 600 BC, and there, in the Temple of Neith, he was told of a forgotten empire, a land far to the southwest of Egypt, beyond the Pillars of Heracles, home to a mighty people and the greatest city of the ancient world. He was told this story by the African priest Sonchis, who said the city had been destroyed over 9,000 years earlier. A 12,000-year-old memory, preserved not in books, but in stone, in temple, in blood. Sonchis spoke of concentric circles, rings of land and water, of temples layered in ivory and gold, of walls gleaming with red, black, and white stones. He told of a civilization so advanced in philosophy, mathematics, agriculture, and astronomy that it stood as a beacon to the ancient world. That knowledge passed from Solon to his descendants until it reached Plato, who wrote it into his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. And for 2,000 years, the world wondered where Atlantis had gone. But if we look not to the seas, but to the sands, we find that Plato's vision did not sink. It rose from the desert. The Richat structure in Mauritania is not a mystery to satellite imagery. It is there, massive, unmistakable, 25 miles across, laid out in perfect circles, surrounded by ancient riverbeds that once fed the Atlantic. Today, it is dry, crusted with salt, but the scars of water are still etched into its sides. 11,000 years ago, this was no desert. The Sahara was green, full of rivers, lakes, forests, even elephants. Science confirms this. The Green Sahara was real, and it ended abruptly, not slowly. A sudden desert, a sudden silence, and in the center of it all, the eye. Plato wrote that Atlantis had a southern outlet to the sea. The Richat structure opens to the south. He said it was flanked to the north by mountains with flowing rivers. The Atlas Mountains rise to the north, exactly where he said they would be. And the name? Atlas, the first king of Atlantis, father of its people. The very land is named after him. This was no coincidence. This was memory made stone. Mauritania today is a land rich in copper, gold, and iron, the very metals Plato said Atlantis possessed in abundance. The sands of the eye still hold deposits of red, white, and black rock, the exact materials described in Critias. And salt, so much salt, proof that the region was once flooded, submerged, washed clean in a disaster the world forgot. Until now. Some say Plato meant an island. But in ancient Greek, island also meant a land surrounded by rivers or separated by water. And if you look at the Richat from above, the perfect circles, the ancient channels, it was exactly that, a peninsula in the heart of a wet Sahara. Plato also wrote of a plain around the city, flat and fertile, ringed with mountains, sloping gently to the sea. That's exactly what satellite imaging shows around the Richat. A plain, now dust, once green, stretching outward in every direction. Herodotus, writing before Plato, described a people called the Atlantes, living in the same region. He even placed them on his ancient map. A Roman map from 45 AD labels the area Atlantae. This is not fantasy. This is cartography. This is geography. This is history. And the priests of Kemet? They said the survivors of the great catastrophe fled to Egypt, bringing with them the arts, sciences, and sacred knowledge of their fallen homeland. That's why, carved into Egyptian stone, the ancestors speak of coming from the lands of the West, from the land of the setting sun. Diodorus Siculus recorded that Egyptians themselves claimed descent from a more ancient people who came from beyond the desert. They brought writing, language, and civilization, and they brought it from Atlantis. It is not hard to believe. Look at the elegance of early dynastic Egypt, the sudden rise of knowledge, the echoes of something older, something lost, something passed down. Plato warned that Atlantis fell because its people forgot the divine. They became arrogant, indulgent, unbalanced. Their harmony with nature dissolved. Their wisdom turned to conquest. And so the gods, or perhaps the earth itself, struck them down. Earthquakes, floods, fire from the sky, and then only sand. The Richat structure is scarred with the evidence. Fault lines, erosion patterns, salt fields. This place was not always still. And so the question is not, did Atlantis exist? The question is, why has the truth been buried? Why has this African origin been erased? Why has Hollywood never shown Atlantis with black kings and queens, with temples to the sun and libraries under the stars? Why has the eye of Africa, visible from space, never been taught as part of world history? Because when you reclaim Atlantis as African, you reclaim more than a myth. You reclaim stolen time. You reclaim memory. You reclaim proof that the ancestors were not primitive. They were extraordinary. The Atlanteans, by all accounts, were people of profound knowledge. Their king, Atlas, was said to have invented astronomy. They had a confederation of rulers, a structured empire. They excelled in architecture, engineering, philosophy, and spiritual science. They lived in balance until they didn't. And that is the lesson. Atlantis is not just a memory. It is a warning, a mirror, a gift. Will modern civilization learn? Will it pause and reconsider the value of harmony over domination, of knowledge over greed, of community over empire? Or will it, like Atlantis, be swallowed by its own arrogance? We stand at a crossroads. The ancestors have left signs. The Richat is one of them. It speaks, in silence, in circles, in stone. And if we listen, we might hear not just the tragedy, but the triumph, that for thousands of years, long before colonial timelines, Africa was the light of the world. Atlantis was not lost. It was hidden. Hidden in the dunes, hidden in the dust, hidden in the stories we were never told. But we are telling them now, and we are remembering. So let the deserts speak. Let the winds carry the truth. Let the maps be redrawn, and the lies be buried. Let the Richat rise in memory, as it once rose in glory. And let Africa reclaim what it always knew. Atlantis was hers. We were Atlantis. We were the city the stars used to map, the spiral of life in concentric wrap. We were the rhythm the oceans obeyed, the architects of sunlight and shade. We were the ones who danced with the Nile, who built with a breath and dreamed in style. We carved the heavens in temple stone and called the thunder a voice of home. We were the ones who measured the sky, taught the birds how to soar, taught taught the soul how to fly. We knew the code before man wrote it. We lit the flame before God spoke it. We walked in rings of water and fire, black kings and queens in radiant attire. We wove gold into law, peace into power, and sang the world awake at the 0 hour. Then came the silence. Then came the wave. Then came the sand, and the unnamed grave. But we did not vanish. We did not die. We folded our knowledge beneath the sky. We passed it in symbols, in drums, in flame, in whispered winds that still know our name. Now they call us myth, a fable, a lie. But we are the truth they can't classify. We are the memory they tried to drown, still standing tall while empires fall down. We are the pulse beneath your feet. We are the stars in every beat. We are the ones who rise again. From dust, from ash, from might have been. Atlantis was ours, and still it is, in every child who dares the quiz, in every voice that breaks the spell, in every soul that dares to tell. So let them wonder, let them doubt. We know who we are, inside, throughout. We are the echo in desert stone, the eye that watches, the seed long sown. We are the keepers of time's vast span. We are the first, the African. Thanks for watching this episode. Do remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And look out for the next one on Africa's great civilizations.